I can still hear the echo of her laughter, cold and sharp, as she stood there, holding the painting I'd poured my soul into and called it cheap. It was in that moment, as the lavish party guests averted their eyes and a knot of shame twisted in my gut, that I decided Madison would never again take a single thing from me, least of all my peace. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. For 12 long years, I, Helen Carter, a quiet widow and an artist by passion more than profession, had lived a life of deliberate frugality in my modest home in Montpelier, Vermont. My days were a gentle rhythm of painting in my sun-drenched studio, tending to my small garden and making sure every penny stretched, not for myself, but for Madison, my granddaughter. My sweet Madison, whom I had practically raised since she was a toddler, her mother, my daughter Lauren, having been overwhelmed and financially struggling back then. Madison was my everything. After my husband passed, she filled the void in my heart, and I dedicated my life to ensuring hers would be brighter, easier, more full of opportunity than mine had been. Every month, without fail, a portion of my fixed income, often scraped together from selling small commissions or making sacrifices like mending old clothes instead of buying new, went into a dedicated college fund. It was labeled simply College Fund Madison, a sacred trust I nurtured year after year, watching it grow, imagining her bright future. I never told anyone about it, especially not Madison or Lauren, wanting it to be a grand surprise, a gift that would launch her dreams. And then there was the painting. For months, in secret, I'd been working on a special piece for her 18th birthday. It was a canvas brimming with our shared memories, a vibrant green backyard swing, the one where I'd push her high into the summer sky, her giggles echoing. Our beloved Max, the golden retriever, captured mid-leap, forever young and joyful. And, of course, the sprawling bed of daffodils by the old oak, blooming every spring, reminding us of new beginnings. I painted it with every ounce of love, nostalgia, and hope in my heart, thinking it would be a bridge, a way to reconnect with the girl who seemed to be drifting further and further from the quiet, loving child I remembered. It wasn't about money. It was about sentiment, about acknowledging our unique bond. The day of her 18th birthday arrived, bright and crisp, though my nerves were a tangled mess. Lauren, now more financially stable, had thrown Madison an extravagant party at a rented hall, a stark contrast to the simple gatherings we used to have. The room buzzed with laughter and music, filled with Madison's new friends, all dressed in designer clothes, their phones constantly out, capturing every moment. I felt like a relic, a ghost in my carefully chosen, but undeniably old, dress. When it was time for gifts, Madison, radiant and sparkling in a dress that must have cost a fortune, sat at a table piled high with glossy bags and sleek boxes. My gift, wrapped in simple brown paper and tied with a homespun twine, looked utterly out of place. I watched as she tore open expensive electronics, designer handbags, and jewelry, each met with squeals of delight and air kisses. My turn came last. With trembling hands, I offered her the painting. "Happy birthday, my darling," I whispered, my voice thick with emotion. "This is a piece of our history, painted just for you." Madison took it, her smile faltering as she saw the canvas, her perfectly made-up face contorted, not into joy, but into a sneer. She held it up, turning it slightly so her friends could see. "Are you serious? A painting?" she scoffed, her voice carrying clearly across the room. "That's it? It must have been cheaper than buying a real gift." A wave of titters rippled through her clique. My heart, which minutes before had been swelling with hope, shattered into a million icy fragments. The public humiliation was a physical blow, leaving me breathless. I saw Lauren approach, a strained look on her face, but she said nothing, did nothing to stop Madison's cruel display. I just stood there, my vision blurring, the laughter around me turning into a cacophony of mockery. It wasn't just the painting she had dismissed. It was every sacrifice, every late night, every penny I had poured into her future, every piece of my heart. She didn't see love, she saw an inconvenience, a cheap offering. My profound love and years of selfless devotion had been utterly overlooked, disrespected, and scorned. I knew, with a clarity that stung more than any tears, that my love was not just unreciprocated, but actively weaponized against me. That night, alone in my quiet Vermont home, the silence was deafening, amplified by the echo of Madison's words. The tears came, hot and relentless, blurring the familiar comfort of my studio. But then, something shifted. The grief, the shock, the profound hurt, they began to crystallize into something harder, colder. It was a resolve I hadn't known I possessed. For 12 years, I had put Madison first, Lauren first, everyone else first. My own dreams, my own comfort, my own artistic aspirations had always taken a back seat. But no more. I wiped my tears, a fierce determination hardening my jaw. I walked over to my desk, where years of meticulously kept records lay hidden. My notebooks, filled with precise entries of every deposit, every interest accrual for Madison's college fund, the account number, the bank statements. I retrieved the deed to my house, the details of my fixed income, the receipts for supplies I'd forgone to save more. I opened my laptop, went online, and with a steady hand, initiated a transfer. The entire college fund, a substantial sum that represented a lifetime of sacrifice, moved from Madison's soon-to-be accessible account to a new, private account in my name. For the first time in my life, I chose myself. I knew with absolute certainty that this was just the beginning. The following week, a whirlwind of manufactured remorse blew through my door in the form of Madison. She appeared on my porch, teary-eyed, clutching a bouquet of supermarket flowers. "Grandma, I'm so sorry," she wailed, throwing her arms around me. "I was awful." It was the party stress, the crowd. I don't know what came over me. "I miss our bond, Grandma. I miss you." Her performance was Oscar-worthy. Part of me, the old, soft Helen, wanted to believe her, to melt into her embrace and forgive. But the new Helen, forged in the fires of public humiliation and cold resolve, watched with a keen, almost clinical eye. I offered her tea, listened to her apologies, and observed. She stayed for a few hours, hovering, making vague references to school plans and future dreams, all while her eyes darted to my desk, to the general vicinity where she knew I kept my financial papers. As she was leaving, Madison, ever so subtly, left her laptop open on my kitchen counter, claiming she needed to fetch something from the car. A tiny ping from the screen caught my attention. Curiosity, or perhaps a premonition, tugged at me. I glanced at the screen. A chat window was open, displaying a conversation between Madison and someone named Emmy. My blood ran cold as I read the damning words, a sickening wave washing over me. "Don't worry," Madison had typed. "She's falling for it. I've been sweet, cried a bit, told her I missed our bond. Classic emotional bait. Just need a couple more visits. She's already thinking about putting the fund back. I know it. Told you. She's predictable. I'll be in CalArts by fall. Manifesting." The words twisted in my stomach. Predictable. Emotional bait. This wasn't remorse. It was a calculated scheme, a cynical manipulation of my love. The last shred of doubt about my decision to reclaim the fund evaporated. This wasn't just disrespect. It was pure, unadulterated greed and cruelty. My heart turned to stone. The girl I had poured my life into was a stranger, a user, and she had just confirmed that I had made the right choice, the only choice. With a clarity I had never known, I began my methodical counterplan. This wasn't about revenge in the petty sense. It was about justice, about reclaiming my self-worth, my financial independence, and my artistic voice. My first step was purely defensive. I consolidated all my accounts, setting up new passwords, implementing two-factor authentication on everything. I called my bank, explained the situation in general terms, and made sure no one else had access to my information or accounts, no matter who claimed to be me. I even consulted with a local lawyer, not to sue Madison, but to confirm my rights to the fund. He assured me in no uncertain terms that since the money was in an account under my name until Madison's 18th birthday, and I had simply moved it to another account under my name, I was the legal owner. It was Noah money saved asterisks by me. He drew up a simple declaration of ownership, just for my peace of mind, documenting the origin of the funds and my right to them. I meticulously organized every bank statement, every deposit slip, every record of sacrifice I had made over the past 12 years. These weren't just financial documents. They were a testament to my love, my devotion, and now my liberation. I started a new spreadsheet, not for Madison's fund, but for my Freedom Fund, outlining my goals: travel, new art supplies, financial security, and ultimately, a peaceful retirement in a place of my choosing. My next step was more personal, more vulnerable. I took out the rejected gift, the painting Madison had scorned. Looking at it now, I saw not humiliation, but strength. It was a beautiful piece, a raw outpouring of emotion. I photographed it, carefully capturing every brushstroke, every detail. Then, with a deep breath, I posted it on an online art forum, a community I had followed for years but never dared to participate in. Alongside the image, I wrote its story, not naming names, but speaking from my heart about a gift given with love and met with scorn. I titled the post simply, "The Rejected Gift." I expected a few sympathetic comments, perhaps some fellow artists offering encouragement. What happened next was beyond anything I could have imagined. The post went viral. Within days, the rejected gift was being shared across social media platforms, art blogs, and even picked up by local news outlets. People resonated with the story of unappreciated love, of a heartfelt creation dismissed. They saw the raw emotion in the painting itself, the vibrant colors and tender memories, and understood the pain behind its rejection. My inbox exploded with messages. One particularly encouraging email came from Dana, an art curator from a small avant-garde gallery in Brooklyn. She wrote a heartfelt message about how deeply the story and the painting had moved her. She understood the nuance, the silent suffering. She offered me a professional exhibition, a solo show, if I was willing to travel to New York. Me, Helen Carter, a quiet, forgotten artist from Vermont, offered a gallery show in Brooklyn. It felt like a dream. I accepted immediately. The gallery opening was a blur of flashing cameras, hushed conversations, and genuine admiration for my work. My little Vermont painting, now a symbol of resilience, hung proudly on the wall, bathed in gallery lights. The story of the rejected gift became a feature in several art magazines and even the lifestyle section of a major newspaper. The painting itself, the one Madison had called cheap, was sold for a staggering $20,000 to a collector who understood its profound emotional and artistic value. $20,000. My art, my voice, my pain had found validation far beyond anything my own family had ever offered. This was not just money, it was freedom. Meanwhile, Madison and Lauren, completely oblivious to my burgeoning artistic career and newfound resolve, continued their subtle pressure campaign. Madison would call, casually mentioning Cal Arts, expensive tuition, and the wonderful bond we shared. Lauren would interject, suggesting I reconsider my plans for the fund, implying I was being unfair, even cruel. They thought I would crack, that I was still the predictable, self-sacrificing Helen they had always known. They couldn't have been more wrong. They were escalating their expectations, completely unaware of the iron will that had replaced my once soft heart. They were, in fact, providing me with more evidence of their entitlement, hardening my resolve further. The climax arrived quietly, without fanfare, in my living room. I invited Madison and Lauren over for tea, a familiar ritual that now held an entirely different weight. The atmosphere was strained. Madison was already talking about Cal Arts applications, the fees, the deadlines, her voice tinged with a thinly veiled demand. Lauren sat beside her, nodding in agreement, a look of expectant entitlement on her face. I let them speak, listening calmly, a small, unwavering smile playing on my lips. When they finally paused, expecting my usual capitulation, I took a deep breath. "Girls," I began, my voice steady, betraying none of the turmoil I had once felt. "I've made a decision regarding Madison's education and my finances." Madison's eyes lit up, already anticipating the good news. Lauren leaned forward, a triumphant smirk beginning to form. "I will not be funding Cal Arts for you, Madison," I stated, my gaze meeting hers directly. Her jaw dropped. Lauren gasped. "The money I painstakingly saved for 12 years, through countless sacrifices, is no longer earmarked for your future, Madison." "It's earmarked for mine," Madison stammered. "But Grandma, you always said, you promised." "No, Madison," I corrected gently, "I never promised you. I saved it, poor you, as a gift of my love. A gift you publicly mocked and then tried to manipulate me into returning through deceit. I discovered your chat logs with Emmy. I know exactly what you were doing. And frankly, the painting you called cheap just sold for $20,000. I paused, letting that sink in. Their faces were a mixture of shock, disbelief, and dawning horror. "That money, and all the funds I've saved," I continued, "is now my Freedom Fund, Fundo de Libertad Helen Carter. I'm using it to pursue my own artistic dreams, to travel, to live the life I've always put on hold for others. I've accepted gallery offers in Paris and London. I'm already planning my next exhibition. My priorities have shifted. You took my love for granted, Madison, and you tried to exploit it. I am reclaiming my life, my self-worth, and my financial independence. This fund is mine, and it will be used for me." Lauren found her voice indignant. "Mother, how can you be so selfish? After all this time, all you've done for her." "Selfish?" I interrupted, my voice rising slightly. "Selfish? I have been selfless my entire life, Lauren. I raised Madison when you couldn't. I sacrificed my own comforts, my own dreams, for her future and for yours. And what did I get in return? Public humiliation and calculated manipulation. No, Lauren, this isn't selfishness. This is self-preservation. This is self-respect. And I will not apologize for it." I stood up, signaling the end of the conversation. The boundaries are set. This is my decision, and it is final. The silence that followed was heavy, broken only by Madison's choked sobs and Lauren's furious, defeated glare. Their world, built on the assumption of my endless giving, was crumbling around them. The fallout for them was immediate and stark. Madison didn't get into Cal Arts or any other private art school because she simply couldn't afford it. The emotional bait had failed spectacularly, leaving her with shattered expectations and the harsh reality that her grandmother, once her most reliable source of support, was no longer available for exploitation. Her dreams, built on my sacrifice, dissolved. Lauren, furious and embarrassed, tried to rally other family members to pressure me, but by then, my story was circulating, subtly, amongst the wider circles, of how I had rediscovered my artistic voice and found success. My integrity remained intact. Their attempts to paint me as cruel and heartless fell flat against the backdrop of my quiet, dignified triumph. Their relationship became strained, Madison blaming her mother for not securing the funds, Lauren blaming Madison for her public display of ingratitude. Their house, the very setting of Madison's lavish party, felt colder, the air thick with unmet expectations and simmering resentment. As for me, my world blossomed. I embraced my newfound independence with open arms. I traveled, truly traveled, for the first time in my life. I saw my art exhibited in Paris and London, walking through galleries with my name on the wall, feeling a profound sense of accomplishment and validation. I created more art, pieces that reflected my empowerment, my journey from quiet sorrow to vibrant joy. One of my new paintings, a stunning self-portrait I proudly titled Freedom. In Spain, amidst the sun-drenched streets of Seville, I met Thomas, a kind and gentle artist with a twinkle in his eye and a laugh that warmed my soul. We shared stories, spoke of art, and found a deep, respectful connection that was free from expectation or manipulation. He saw me, truly saw me, for the artist and woman I had become. Months later, a small, rather impersonal envelope arrived in my mailbox from Madison. Inside was a brief, almost perfunctory apology letter. "Grandma," it read, "I'm sorry for how I acted. I hope you're doing well. I miss you." There was no mention of the chat logs, no genuine remorse for her manipulation, just a vague acknowledgement. I read it, acknowledged its arrival, and then, with a quiet sigh, placed it in a drawer with other forgotten papers. It didn't sting, didn't provoke anger. It just was. It no longer had the power to alter my path. I had already found my own worth, my own freedom, my own peace. My life in Vermont, once a quiet existence of sacrifice, had transformed into a vibrant tapestry of travel, creation, and genuine connection. I spent my days painting, exploring, and truly living, surrounded by beauty and authentic relationships. The pain had been real, the betrayal profound, but from its ashes I had risen, stronger, more vibrant, and undeniably, truly free. My freedom, I knew now, was priceless. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.